Hello, folks. This is V for You Radio here once again, bringing a talk show segment with the Today Center. Today Center has been a great organization in the West Edmonton here, right in the heart of Edmonton, helping the victors of family violence, domestic violence, and I've brought them two more times earlier this month. We are trying to help raise support for the upcoming breakfast, which is on the 23rd of November. And we have today the executive director, Cindy Furlong, talking to us about the show, about the organization, about what exactly they do. So I'll bring Cindy on and welcome, Cindy. How are you doing today?
I'm very well, Anu. Thank you so much for asking and for allowing me to be here today.
I'm so thrilled to see you because I did get an opportunity to meet some of your executives. Linda came over last week, and prior to Linda, Shay was with us. We were talking about wonderful things you do in your organization. You are literally my next door, so you're closer to my heart. I always say that. Why am I close? Because I am actually very close sitting to you. I know just a few steps away from your office. Tell us something about the Today Center as an executive director. When did you step in? What made you join this organization? How do you feel, or what from your perspective, from your lens, how do you feel the organization is able to really connect and deliver what it is supposed to?
Yeah. So I knew a little bit of background about me. I've been in the human services sector as a social work for over 30 years. I've in my entire career, I have worked with nonprofit agencies, really working with societal issues. Like I worked with youth houselessness, sexual exploitation in youth, and then also family violence, which brings us up to today and where we're currently at. So I've been with the Today Center, I would say 8 years. 7 in the role of executive director. And you know what? I feel so much passion and pride when it comes to this organization, first of all, because like many of the societal issues out there, family violence can sometimes be shrouded, right, in secrecy around what happens behind closed doors, and some very dangerous situations. And so I think as a place to get help, I'm very passionate that we exist, first of all, and because we are there for people who need that support. And I'm very just proud, I think, of really what, you know, how established we are in the family violence sector here in Edmonton, as well as, making inroads provincially with other partners. And I think that, the pride in the staff and what they do and who they help on a daily basis and how they help, from the frontline family violence specialist to, our communications person, to our educator, to our office manager, our community engagement. We all, I think, really just play a very important role. We are only 10. We are small, but mighty. And I think we are really doing collectively what we can to not only just raise awareness of the Today Center, but the issue itself, right? Which is why I'm so glad that you are a neighbor to us and that we're taking time to really talk about this conversation and this issue through before you. So thank you.
And so well said, Cindy, especially the small and mighty. See, the best impacts come from the smallness. And when I always say that you have to be small enough to care, and large enough, big enough to do business kind of thing. And of course, everything means business. I'm not just trying to bring the commercial side of it, but there are so many individuals looking for help. And the smallness in us brings that emotion, compassion. They really want people to listen to them, understand their situation. And this is where the organizations like Today Center is making such an impact. I'm so proud to see some of the ambassadors. I got an opportunity to meet 3 ambassadors who have really supported the program, the real victors, I would say, who have
Yes.
gone through in their personal lives and how they have bounced back, sprung back in their lives and become leaders of today. And of course, we've brought one of the leaders, such leaders today, Katie Dara, with us. Katie has been really a great ambassador. Reading her resume is absolutely brings the smiles. And I would like to bring Katie on the floor, if that's okay, so that we can talk to Katie as well.
Hi.
Katie, you are
Hello.
very welcome joining the show. I'm so thrilled to have you with us today. You are one of the ambassadors, and just for the listeners, viewers, I would like to tell Katie is a real victor, a survivor of such a thing, which is we call family or domestic violence, and of course, she has really. She is a volunteer, a mother, supporter of such conversations, and of course helps in safety planning. Katie, welcome, and
Thank you.
tell us something about yourself.
Well, I'm kind of on a little anniversary thing. It was actually tomorrow will be my 1 year of leaving a domestic violence and abusive relationship. And it's been in that year that I have grown so much because of places like the Today Center that help provide me with education that I didn't kind of come across in the real world. And in that, I've tried to organize conversations around safety planning for not only women, but children and anyone in a relationship, and support any organizations that I can to move forward with this idea that we can all find safety in relationships as we go forward, and really evaluating the places that we're in our lives to ensure that our emotional, our physical, our financial safety is going to be taken care of going forward. So in that, trying to go through a divorce and raise my children and heal and support and educate and do what I can with it.
Katie, as much as we really are with you standing, and I know how difficult it can be when you are dealing with such family life crisis, and again, um, we all are in it. Some at some point we go through such difficult times. I always say tough times makes us stronger. I thank the tough time, because if it would not happen, I would not have become as tough as I look as I work today. That just brings that leadership out. The mother becomes a mother when she goes through that tough moment, and that's how you make your kids as well aware of the some life realities. Cindy, I know that we are talking about this upcoming breakfast, and I am part of it. It is the third annual fundraising breakfast. Why don't you tell us something about the breakfast happening on the 23rd of November, whereabouts, and how can people still join that?
Sure, yeah. So just before I go into that, I just wanted to make a comment about what I was saying earlier. I know when I said that we were a small but mighty organization, I talked about the staff, but the reality is an organization this size can't do what it does without our ambassadors, without our volunteers, without our board members, right? And so it really does take a village. And so I just wanted to comment on that. As far as the breakfast goes, so 3 years, well, sorry, in 2019, we decided to, it was our 10-year anniversary for the Today Center, and we decided to host a breakfast that we called Help Today, Hope Tomorrow, because that really resonated with there is help today at the Today Center, and by the services that we provide, there is hope for tomorrow. And so it really was a tagline that resonated well with us. And so, unfortunately, because of COVID, we ended up taking a bit of a hiatus from that in-person event, and we held our second one last year in 2022, and then we have one this year in 2023. So, really, the idea behind these breakfasts really are to obviously it's a fundraising breakfast for the Today Center, because in order for us to keep doing what we need to do to support others who are impacted by family violence, we do need that financial support. But we are also raising awareness around various things attached to family violence. And so this year we are disrupting the stigma. And so really it is about starting the conversation and continuing the conversation around some of those myths and stereotypes that are commonly and unhealthily, I would say, held by, society in general, right? And so disrupting those myths and stereotypes really, comes down to really challenging what some of those may be for us as individuals and societally, and really maybe replace that, in that challenge of disrupting it or breaking it down, really replace it with something that's a little bit more relevant. And so, yes, we are having it on November 23rd, which is actually a week from today. How quickly time flies. There are still tickets available until, I believe, Tuesday of next week. And tickets can be purchased if you go to our website, thetodaycenter.ca. You'll be able to click on a link that'll take you right to the registration.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to it. I know there are great participants already, big names who have accepted to join the breakfast, and I'm looking forward to meeting them all. Cindy, this year's the I call it the tagline, the disrupting the stigma, is kind of just sticks out, and I'm wondering what, how does this impact like the conversations around the disrupting the stigma impacts the family violence sector?
I think, in my personal opinion, a lot of us in the family violence sector as organizations and survivors and those that have been impacted are working really hard to eradicate family violence. Like, when we think about this, wouldn't this world look so much lovelier if we didn't have to say that there was such a thing as intimate partner violence or family violence? And so it can feel lofty. I know that. And the challenge has been around, well, will that ever happen? But I think we have to have that goal in mind as we work towards what does that look like as we work towards that, right? And I do think that one of the places that we need to start is recognizing that there is stigma and stereotypes and myths that we as a society hold, not just necessarily around, those that are experiencing it. And by the way, I love the fact that you're saying victor. So thriver, survivor, victim, victim, victor, victim. I love that language. And so I think that we have to start having those conversations, and we have to start breaking down what those myths and how they have become stigmatized, not just for the person experiencing it, but perhaps for the person that's using abusive behaviors too, because there's lots of stigma around that as well, right? So I truly do think that that's one part of the equation. Obviously, not just conversation, but education, and really, we just need to, I think, better understand some of those biases and those assumptions that we make so that we can start breaking those things down, because I think that that gets us to a better place, or at least a different place of maybe better understanding and maybe, better compassion and kindness and whatnot. And so that's my personal opinion around how I think that we're going to get there, and why disrupting that stigma is so important as a tagline. And I think that we have some really great speakers. Dina Court, who I know that you met in the second round, who's a great ambassador of the Today Center as well, who can definitely speak to this. I know I'll speak a little bit to it, and then I know that you're aware that we are going to have a comedian as well, providing some gentle comedy around stigma busting. And so I think that this, breakfast is just a really great place to start. Yeah.
Laughter and smiles is something which every one of us have appetite for, I think, and I'm looking forward to this gentle comedy as well. And again, I know that it's tough to smile in tough times, but it is so important. Bringing Katie on, Katie as a survivor, and so by the way, the word Victor added to my dictionary just because of the Today Center. I heard this word the first time actually at the Today Center. I love this word. Katie, as a survivor, as a victor, what sort of ideas do you get when you hear the disrupting the stigma?
Well, the ideas that have come to me through kind of sharing my story and getting comfortable with the fact that It's okay to talk about what I've been through and what I'm going through, is that we all mask up in a way. Is that we go, for me, I was in parent council president, I was volunteering for all these places, and when I started telling my story, I would get one of two responses. I would get, oh my goodness, finally you realize that you deserve better. Or I get that, oh, I had no idea. Because people would believe the mask that I was bringing forward. And they're like, well, you're at the school every day, and your kids are amazing, and you volunteer for all these things, and you're so busy and so put together. And disrupting the stigma is, just because that's what you see, that's not all that I'm dealing with. So it could be someone that you respect in your industry or at your workplace or in your family. And from the appearance that they're showing, it could always look like there is this sunshine and rainbows all the time. And to me, disrupting the stigma means, where's those cracks? Is there a few rain clouds? And let's talk about your rain clouds. Don't just, paint over new rainbows over it. What's in the rain clouds, and what's bothering you? And is it okay to talk about it? Do you feel safe? Do you want to have a private conversation? Or, hey, these resources have helped me for your own education in a quiet and private spot. Please look into something that may help you. And that's been huge, to come out of my shell and say, I have had problems. I have had struggles. I am not that mask that you have seen for years. Please don't hide behind your mask.
You know what, Katie? I love these talks because if I look into my life, everyone wears that mask when he comes out of the house. Every day is a tough day. Raising kids is not easy. Raising a family is not easy. There's so many factors which just come from all over the place and hit you so hard sometimes. But when you go out, you have to wear that smile, and you have to have the thank you still a thank you in your heart and your voice, that you are so thankful that you were able to open your eyes and get out of the home. Cindy, I know the disrupting the stigma is not just a one day or just confined to this breakfast event. We want to continue. How do you think this? What are the ways we can continue this conversation beyond the 23rd of November? Any words on that?
Yeah, I think, I think that the conversation needs to continue in whichever way. And you're right, we're starting it at breakfast, but I think that within our own, social circles or networks, or, those people that we come in contact with on a daily basis, really, like, I think when we hear that myth or that stereotype presenting itself, I think that we have a responsibility, really, to be able to call in that perception, right? And I prefer call in versus call out. Call out feels like somebody's on the defensive, and so really calling in that and just kind of questioning that, like, oh well, that was an like, interesting statement. Tell me more about what you're thinking, and really kind of getting down into maybe labeling it really as a misconception, right? And so I think that those are some of the little ways that we can continue the conversation. Obviously, the Today Center is going to continue the conversation, through our social media posts, our networks, and doing what we can. And I think the other piece of it is really, like the Katies of the world, the Dinas and the Mirandas, right, who've been on Before You Radio, really speaking about their experience, really, holding their stories, giving them the space to hold their stories, in celebration, really, right? These are lovely women who have, really dealt with a lot, right? And I think that they play a key role in carrying this conversation forward. That we just can't stop it. We have to call it in, right? Media, also too, right? In terms of how sometimes that's maybe misrepresented. Oh, he was such a wonderful guy. I never would have thought, right? Well, some of these statements, right, are just what we really need to call, because that really does reinforce that what that it's that it's okay, or, you know, it was a one-off, or, you know, this wasn't a pattern of abusive behaviors, right? And I think that we just need to start, you know, continuing that conversation. That's what my hope would be for the future. Yeah.
You know what? This issue is not confined to just Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. It's a global issue. While I look at the positive way that hundreds of thousands of people in Canada are being toughened, the leaders are in the making. What I mean by that, they're going through tough life. And while we wish everyone should emerge as leaders, some do succumb to this. They're not able to get up. They don't get the second chance. Katie, coming to you on this question, when you were fighting this hard, I'm sure that you would have wished I had that support. What are the few things? How are the few ways families, friends can come forward to support? I'm sure you would have got lots of support because you are today. You are what you are because of that support. I'm sure, but maybe the support that you did not get also. So maybe combine what you got, what you are, wish you support. How would you see the support from family, friends to these individuals who are trying to fight and become leaders?
Well, that's something I've actually considered a lot coming through this. And I would say, first of all, that one of the biggest supports that I had to get out was some real tough love. From close friends and family, everyone has their emotional and personal bias. And a lot of them, in conversations with them since then and reflecting, would just say, oh, well, you said you were fine. So if you said you were fine, then I let it be. But they would tell me now, well, I saw it happening the whole time. I had red flags and I saw things happening. And, you know, we changed our relationship with you and your family because of what you were going through. And we didn't want it around our children. But they never told me that in the moment, because I said I was happy and I put forward that mask. And it wasn't until, you know, some boundaries, heavy boundaries were crossed, that I got some real tough love from a family member. Sorry. Who would stand over me and said, I'm not leaving this spot until you are safe and you are not going back and you've done the police reports and you have a lawyer. And I tried to be like, no, I'm fine. I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to deal with it. And it was that, no, you're done dealing with it. This is over. You're hurting anymore. So the tough love was hard to receive. But looking back now with that, I wouldn't be where I am. And it was a lot of courage for that person to do that for me, banking on that could ruin our relationship and friendship. Going forward, having been through all of that and had these hard conversations with people afterwards, to try and learn more about it myself, I've even called an co-worker, friends that I've been able to reconnect with and really dive deep and to say, did you know? Did you see? What could I have done different? And I've learned that going forward in my personal conversations with friends and associates and the people I meet, I can't be so willing to go with the flow. Oh, that person makes you feel bad. It's not so bad. It was just one time. Or telling someone what they want to hear. I am a new person now. If someone tells me that there are red flags coming forward and they are unhappy and they're not sure if they want to stay, I am a different woman. I now say, okay, this may not be the conversation you want to hear, but I'm going to tell you from my experience, this is not a safe place for you. And if you want to hear that it's safe, you need to go back. I am not the person for you to talk to. So when you're ready to have that hard conversation, you come to me now. And it's been weird to have that because I didn't used to be that friend. I didn't used to be that hard conversation person and say, this is not safe. You're not okay. You can't be there. So I am so grateful for my connection who did that for me, as scary as that was. And I think the impactful part of it has been overcoming the ignorance from those of us who hadn't experienced it before, that only knew family violence from TV, which was, you know, a partner showing up with big heavy glasses and a turtleneck on and all that makeup. Well, it doesn't always look like that. Sorry. It could be someone who hides behind walls or, you know, takes forever to respond. It could be someone who overplays the joys that they're having and over accentuates the positive things and the little stuff that, if you are listening, you can pick up on. And it just takes a little conversation privately just to say, is everything actually okay? Because we're all too quick to play with the mask that's put forward. So hard conversations, reading between the lines, and just being honest. If someone can't see for themselves that they're in an unsafe situation, they're not going to figure it out. I didn't figure it out for 11 years. People need to have the hard conversation if there is truly evidence that that conversation needs to be had. And it's through the Today Center that I learned that, because there was a non-biased person kind of kicking me in the butt saying, here's the cycle of abuse and here's what a healthy relationship looks like. And it opened my eyes a lot to what I had been experiencing for a long time that I never saw, but I'm learning that people did see all the time and never said anything.
Katie, eyes are the reflection of the heart. When eyes moisten, it means the heart is melting. And of course, that's where what I believe in, that the humans in us makes us feel the pain of not just ourselves but others too. And I totally hear you. And this is all I've learned over the last 18 months, ever since we started this radio. I work with such wonderful people who are there to really help us become better human beings. And I'm so grateful that I am now part of the Today Center, because as I work with them, as I'm trying to really bring the stories on my channel, I'm also becoming a better human being every day. Cindy, I'm coming back to you. What would one expect if they were to knock your door today? What are the few services you offer? How do you transform their lives? What are some of the steps? What are some of the educationists working in your office do on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, great question. So, really, on a day-to-day basis, we're doing a couple of things. One, the biggest part of what I think that the Today Center represents is a place for individuals who have experienced family violence to get help. And so, through our intake and assessment program, we have 4 family violence specialists as well as their supervisor, who on a daily basis are taking telephone calls from individuals who have experienced family violence to maybe service providers who are working with individuals, or like a family friend or loved one who's concerned about somebody. So they're on a daily basis taking phone calls. They're meeting with clients on a one-to-one basis, either over the phone, Zoom, or in person here at the office. And they're really working with that individual on where they're at. And so all of our services are provided through that lens, right? Everybody's situation is unique. You will never find 2 individuals having the same experience. It's not a cookie cutter approach here that's needed. We're client centered. We are trauma informed, culturally. Sensitive in terms of different people's experiences, and really, and strength based, right? Because there's a lot of things that individuals already do to keep themselves safe, right? And so it's about tapping into where they need to have resources in place, what they're already doing. And so really it's a lot of emotional support. It is about perhaps some safety planning. And that safety planning, if people want to remain in the relationship, I've worked with individuals who have invested, in their words, 35 years into a relationship, and they're not interested in leaving that, right? And that's fine, right? It's about then, how do we keep you safe in that situation, right? It could be people who are not sure whether or not they want to stay or leave. They're really not sure if they're experiencing abuse in their relationship. And then of course we work with individuals who have left their relationship, and that actually is the highest time for risk of domestic homicide, right? So we want to make sure that whatever a client is experiencing, that we are in touch with that, and that we're providing resources and education based on their needs. And so as a short-term place where, they're entering into family violence supports, we want to make sure that we're able to connect them to medium and long-term resources out in the community. And that's where our partnerships at the Today Center play such a key role, right? I already mentioned that it takes a village. We need our community partners to be able to support, somebody experiencing family violence. And so that's legal, housing, counseling, basic needs, so you name it, there's a myriad of resources that are needed there. I would say that the second biggest thing that the Today Center does on a daily basis is provide education. And really, through our educator, we are delivering workshops not just to service providers who might be working with individuals that also are experiencing family violence, but also to the general public. So that could be businesses, corporations, community leagues, like maybe a mom and tots group. We're in schools, in junior high and high schools, delivering to youth. We have a number of different programs that are educational workshops that deliver to what we call informal supports, right? So informal supports, and this is really kind of piggybacking on what Katie was talking about, is that sometimes somebody gives voice maybe to their story, not necessarily to a service provider. It definitely can happen, but sometimes it's to somebody that they feel safe with, right? It could be your hairstylist, your esthetician, your faith leader. It could be your friend, your coworker. And so the informal supports really need a lot of education around, how to recognize family violence. This also Katie was talking about red flags, right? And so we deliver workshops to human resource professionals, educators, estheticians, hairstylists through our Cut It Out program. So there's a lot of stuff happening there from the education perspective here at the Today Center, but it is really about teaching others that, I'm going to go so far as to say that there's a responsibility when you see somebody that is, experiencing harm on a very human, basic, natural level of, human to human, that, if we can get to that place of really being able to recognize, then that responsibility to respond in a way that, isn't actually reinforcing a stigma, but is actually breaking it down, is where, I think that there's a lot of value. And so that's a little bit about, kind of our major services. And then obviously you met Linda in the second, session of this, and so she's out there in the community, as I am, as our communications person is, and really just trying to build relationships and friends of the Today Center, because I think the more people that are involved in this, the better that we're going to do, right? So yeah. Sorry, that very long-winded answer to your question.
No. Every word makes sense here, Cindy. And as I was wanting to tell all the viewers that such organizations are so proud, because every dollar earned is hard, well earned, and every dollar spent is well spent towards the benefit of these individuals and empowering these individuals. And of course, as we've heard, corporate social responsibility. Yes, this is a very, very hot topic today. How communities, how corporations can come forward and support these issues, which we grapple every day. I mean, they'll be surprised that every employee in organizations are also going through such things where they mask up, come and work hard to really deliver. However, they need some support too. And of course, as much as corporations, I appeal to all the small, mid, large size businesses, come forward and support organizations like the Today Center. So that's one thing. There's a human social responsibility as well. I mean, just not corporate, human social responsibility. As a person, what am I doing? Because if I look left, if I look right, there are peoples, and of course, within us as well, we are always struggling. One question to both of you before we end. I know time is always an essence, and of course, we want to respect time. Katie, first to you. What do people hope to take away from this breakfast, from your perspective? And the same question applies to you, Cindy. You can think, from organizational perspective, from corporate perspective, who are coming to attend. So, Katie, first to you this question: what should we hope?
Well, first of all, I would hope, having been through the services provided by the Today Center, is that they are educated of what is available to them, to their loved ones, to their friends, and especially to even those in the workplace, knowing that sometimes what we see on the outside is work and home is your relax. Well, sometimes someone going through an abusive relationship, work is the relax and work is the escape. So this being a professional opportunity to intermingle with others in the community, that they could take it back also to their workplace to say these services are out there, because maybe it takes, meeting someone in the lunchroom who is having a bad day to say, I went to this breakfast. I think this may be something you want to look into. Do it on your break at the workplace at a safe area. Don't do it from home, because home may not be a safe place. So just the idea that we can educate that it's more than what someone can do for their friends and family at home. Work can be a safe place. I like professional intermingling in that way. And the second point that I hope people come out of from the breakfast is, having some light laughter from the comedian and learning about what Dina is going to share with us. And I don't want to give anything away. She's amazing. But is, that talking with others who are going to attend from the Today Center, and ambassadors like myself, should you feel like you want to approach me, is what is available to people out there. Because if you're going to spread the word, or you yourself are going to use the services, I know I was scared of, what does this look like for me? Am I going to be exposed? If I'm not ready to be exposed, is it going to cost me anything? And had I known what I know now, I probably should have gone to them sooner. So I want to spread the word. You can go and talk to the Today Center, and it didn't cost me a thing. If it had charged me anything for the services provided by the Today Center, I wouldn't have been able to go. So I think more people need to know that. More corporations could support financially the Today Center to offer people like me those no-charge services to get me and my children into a safe place.
Wow, well said. Cindy.
I don't know if I can follow up on that, Katie. Like, that was very well said. Yeah, I think, that point of education, I think for me, that people walk away saying, wow, I learned something, right? And I think that always is very important. I think the other piece for me is that people walk away wanting to continue the conversation, wanting to continue to challenge their thinking, and wanting to be in a position of being able to do something about it, right? And so that's, so bringing in new friends of the issue, right? New friends to the issue, like-minded individuals, challenging thinking, challenging your own thinking, right? And really being open to that. So I really do hope that that's what people walk away with.
I really thank you, both ladies. Thank you to Today Center for giving an opportunity to us to host you for this wonderful event, and also be your radio partners. I thank you, Katie, for coming and sharing some of your heartfelt experiences. I know, as we all wish to see more smiles, the moist, the cries also have their own place. So thank you so much for sharing. It really makes us feel so. Sometimes vulnerability is also, it's good to feel that, yes, I'm also a part of you. And so I wanted to thank my V4U radio team. I wanted to thank Dr. Vandana Shrivastava, who is with us here handling the back end support. She is absolutely a wonderful person. She is a great motivation to the radio, because she is helping at least 4 to 5 organizations in India going through some similar challenges. And I thank you all. I look forward to attend the breakfast myself. I appeal to all the corporates to come and say hello and just intermingle and take advantage of such a great platform where you also get to learn more, and we all walk away with some more smiles. I thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Anu. I really appreciate your support of the Today Center.
Thank you for having me on.
Thanks, Katie. As always, you're a star.
See you next week.